Good day everybody and welcome back. Firstly, I want to just say a huge thank you to everybody who emailed information in about the milling machine. I had a massive amount of emails come in, and if I haven't replied to email, I will get to it. One guy sent in the phone number to Modern Tools. They are the importer of the first brand milling machine here in Australia. I contacted them, give them a call, and they were super helpful. And they sent me a parts list for the milling machine, like a full breakdown parts list, which was absolutely fantastic. Another viewer also shared, he's got a Sharp milling machine, which is basically the same. He sent me the full 88-page manual for it as well. So that was extremely helpful. So thanks very much for that, mate. And also I had a viewer in America contact Servo directly about the gear for the power feed, and he managed to buy a gear and he's sending it my way, so I'll fix him up with the cost of the gear and so on, but I'll be able to keep the machine in original condition. I've just got to get a 110 power supply to run that unit. So the quill handle on this mill there's a little ball detent in there. It's buggered, so I've just had a little, like a ball bearing in there and just doing it up just on a normal bolt that I had in there. And I wanted to do something different, so I was watching Mark Preso, and he built a quick release speed handle for his Bridgeport. So I contacted him and asked if he had a set of plans, and he has. Now this design here come from another channel by the name of Projects Down Under. And Mark has a Dropbox that he has these plans in, so if you're interested in making one of these yourself, then I'll put a link in the description of it'll take you to Mark's Dropbox and you can print out the plans. So I've just finished building it. It's Thursday, 11 o'clock, and I've got to get in and finish editing this video so I can have it out tonight. This worked out really well. It works great, so pretty excited about it actually. And it was a good fun build. So thank you to everybody who sent in information. It was absolutely brilliant, and I'm running a bit late this week because I had to buy some parts for this, and I had to wait for them to arrive so I can get it repaired. So I found the issue, and I've just milled all the bits for that new quill handle on it, and it's going fine. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. Sorry about the long intro, and it is a little bit scattered because I started doing I just done all the lathe work while I was waiting for the parts, so the video is a bit scattered. Hope you enjoy the video, guys. Okay, to start this one off, we need a piece of material 60mm diameter, 60mm long. It's just a bit of crap I had laying around. It's got a keyway in it, it's got a hole on this side of it, or a dimple in it. So I must have used this for something else at some stage. It had a thread on this end here, which I've turned the tops of the threads off for some reason. And it's been sitting in a pile a fair bit for a fair while, so I've just faced the end of it off, put a centre in it, and turned this down to 60mm diameter. .9. So I've got a bit of a ways to go. Okay, that's 1/2 millimetre up. This has to have a 25mm hole bored in the guts. So drill it out and bore it. .03. Shouldn't need much more to come out of this. 24.83. So 0.1817 to come out. .01. That's it. It's off camera. I did double check that again. In multiple spots it's 25.01. Take the boring bar out now, and I can take the last bit of this outer diameter off. So I've got to chamfer this edge first. See how close we got. Oh shit. Yeah, well, I screwed up there. Overshot it by 0.04. Doesn't matter, we can live with that. I don't know what I was thinking then. Anyway, it's got to have a generous chamfer put on this edge, on that head there, and then part it off at 60mm long. At 63.5, so that should leave me 1/2 mil to clean up later. And there goes that insert. Now, that was a bit of a screw up. It actually bent the bottom end of the holder, so I better not be so lazy this time and use a bit of coolant, a bit of oil. Get rid of that tailstock now, we're not far off busting through. Wonderful. It actually parted off pretty clean apart from where it screwed up before. See where it caught. So I'm glad I left that 1/2 mil on there to face off. This is where that part, this part here is actually going to go. Right there. It's a good fit. There's no, well, very, very slight wriggle. I was just stuffing around being a 2-year-old. Rightio, so I'm doing another part now because I'm still waiting on a couple of bits to turn up for the new mill. So I'll do all the turning I can. So this here will be turned down to 10 mil. It's about 12.5, 38 mil long, and then down to 5 mil for 28 mil long. So I'm going to turn this down in stages so there's less deflection. So 0.03 out. I'm going to emery that last bit down. .01. After a bit of polishing with a bit of emery, we're spot on 5 mil. Yeah, I stuck it out in the collar diffraction just to give me a bit more room, but that's hot. That's all the turning work done on that piece. This has to have 2 flats put on it and a hole, cross hole drilled in it too. So I reckon I've found the issue for the quill on this mill. As you would have noticed in the last video, I had a fair bit of, well, there was side play in the spindle. That little tight spot, everyone's telling me that there is possibly something at the end of the quill somewhere. I can't feel nothing on this quill. There is a little tiny bit shinier mark at this end, but I'm going to give that all a stone anyway. But the biggest worry was, why did it have side load? And I think I've discovered why. That's the bearing off the top up here. It's a little bit noisy, so it's going to get replaced. This spindle is designed for annular contact bearings, so 7207 is the number. This has 6207, which is your common bearing, which don't handle that much side load. So that's where the trouble lies. Wrong bearings. I have a new bearing for the top. I've got a Timken for there. They're at 6206. I have two Koyo 7207s. Annular contact bearings. Not cheap, but it's got to have it. So I'm glad I did ask a question and pulled the spindle out, and just to work out what the hell's going on, because I could have put up with that, taking super light cuts for ages, you know, because I wasn't overly keen on pulling the spindle out, I can tell you. I've just got to get it all back together properly now. But the spindle looks alright. This all looks pretty good. This all needs a good clean up as well. It's like a labyrinth seal here, which all looks pretty good. So we're nearly right to go back together. So I don't know how much of this I'm going to show putting it back together. I didn't show much. I didn't show any of it pulling it apart because I didn't really know what I was doing. There's plenty of videos out there online showing how to pull these apart, put them back together. I'm not the one to be showing you that, because this is the first time I've ever done it and I'm learning along the way, so you have to forgive me for that. Okay, there's our spindle reassembled with the new bearings. I followed a video on HM repairs or HW repairs or something on the internet, just with a bit of grease, about the same amount as he did. So new bearing up top. And I've also gone over this spline and any little bumps and so on. There was a couple little tiny bumps up the top up here. I've just stoned them off. So hopefully that picks or fixes up the little tight spot. Anyway, I'm going to get this installed and bring this back. Okay, it's all back together. Got a 1/2 inch cutter up. Put on 1/2 mil just to see what happens. That sounds a lot better than what it did last time at the same depth of cut. Be 1 mil depth of cut. I'm pretty happy with that. I don't even know that cutter is dull. Can't have everything. That's alright, eh? Just out of curiosity's sake, I thought I'd put the fly cutter up just to see what it done. Yeah, it's not bad. Anyway, that's enough for me today. I've had a gutful. I'm going inside to have a barbecue for dinner because it's been about 39 degrees here today. Been bloody hot. Okay, this block here, finished dimension is 16mm by 20mm. I've got a weird shaped cutter in here. It's tapered, custom grind one, but it's going to be good just to get the top off. Anyway, going to get it down. So this side over here has been faced off, face this one off, and then flip it, and then I can take it to final dimension each way. Rightio, flip it and go again. Okay, so I've changed out to a bigger cutter. Final dimension here is 16mm. That's 16.998. Interesting to see how close I got that, I suppose. Almost say that was good enough. Got to flip it now and bring the width down to 20mm. Can't get a micrometer in there, but because of the parallels, but I've got 0.31 to come off. Yeah, up there. I mean, I made a mistake there. 19.74. And what I've done then, obviously stuffed the measurement up. Oh well, that's just going to have to be it. I guess I screwed up the numbers on the hand wheel. Okay, I've just had another look at the plans. Even though it is a fraction under, well not a fraction, it's actually quite a bit under. It's meant to be 20mm. Hey, looking at the plans, I don't believe it's going to matter. Now, change the cutter out and I've got to bring it to length, which is 75mm. Measure it up, turn it around and bring it to final length. So I've just taken a couple of light swipes off here just to get a clean face. So 78.43. So it's got to come down to 75. Okay, this should be the last pass. Bit of luck, we should be on the money. I think we're on the money. Didn't stuff that one up. Okay, I've done a bit of wild marking out. So centre punch mark here, that has to be an 8mm hole. This one here is where a chain link joiner goes. That acts as a pivot point. I can't get one in town here. I don't know what I'm going to do. I may have to make something yet. Between these two lines, which is 16.5mm, it has to go down 5mm deep on both sides. So it'll have to be turned. And the same done this side over here. So just going to use a regular and pick up on both centre punch marks, drill them, or drill and ream them. I'm only going 5mm on this hole for now. I can always open it up later if I need to, depending on what size join link or whatever I make. Bit of a crap setup here, got a 32 Morse taper 3, and then I've got a sleeve and then a Morse taper 2 chuck. It's the best I got at the moment, so that's going to have to do. Good cheap Chinese reamers. Nothing but the best will do. Just realised I forgot to countersink the top of that hole, so I'll just do it by hand later. Anyway, 5mm hole through this for this one here. I might try the auto feed. Give it a go. If I can remember how to drive it. It's a pretty cool feature, eh? So this recess I'm putting in now is basically clearance for the pivot joint, if you want to call it that. So it has to be 5mm deep. I don't believe the width is crucial, as long as it has clearance. Like I'll get as close as 16.5mm as the plans say. Got a 1/2 inch cutter up and got to go 5mm deep. Just going to deburr that and double check me depth. Yeah, I was right, I'm at 4mm, so I've got another millimetre to come out. Rightio, so I've decided, because this is clearance, just clearance for a link, I'm just going to do it by eye out to these lines. I think it'd be plenty good enough. It's a bit more tricky without a DRA, you've actually got to think. And that's not like, that's something I don't normally do that well. I'll set up a stop and then flip it over and do the other side. Good enough. So there's our part so far. Everything lined up pretty good overall. So it has to have a threaded hole in the end, and I forget which side it is, has to have a recess about 4mm deep, 12mm diameter for a spring. Okay, I have a 1/2 inch cutter that has to put a pocket in here 4mm deep. It's where a spring is retained for the spring action of the handle. There we go, that pocket's in there and actually looks pretty well centered too. That went better than what I expected. This has to have a M10 thread put in this end now. Okay, I've set the quill stop to go 15mm deep. Okay, I'm going to start this off and then probably finish it by hand. I just cleaned all that dichum off it. I nearly put this hole here in the wrong side, that's why it's got a little punch mark there. Look, it's not the neatest part I've ever made, but luckily most of it's going to be hidden. Okay, I'm not 100% sure whether I showed this piece on the turning it on the lathe or not. I haven't been through the footage. I can't remember because I've been doing this over a couple of days. But this piece here is the pin that locks into the quill, lock into the side where the quill handle goes. This has got to have a couple of flats put on it and a hole drilled through it. And this is where the link, the chain link or joiner link goes. Got to put 2 flats on this and drill a 5mm hole same. And I may have to just make my own joiner link up to put them together because I can't buy one in town here. Okay, I have touched off there. This is a 10mm diameter. I need a 6mm section left, so 4mm off each side. Well, that was nearly a screw up. I've only got to take 2mm off each side, and that was 2mm. I'm glad I remembered then and didn't sort of keep going, otherwise I would have been going back to make another one. I don't know where the hell I got 4mm from, but like I say, there's some weird things that happen in my head. So I'll flip this over and put the flats on the other side. Oh God, it's bloody muggy here today. Phenomenally muggy. 5.95. That's not bad going off the hand wheels. Okay, now I have to drill a 5mm hole in the center of that. So that piece is now finished, all bar a little chamfer on each side. So here's the actual main body of the part. This is what all these bits go into. This has to have a 16mm wide slot, 40mm deep, machined into this. So that's what I'm going to do next, attempt to do next. It's got an aluminium V-block, sort of the biggest one I've got. I know it's not a precision V-block, but it's going to do for, it's got to do for this job. I think we're pretty right to set up and just slowly gnaw away at it. I'm not going to rush it because I don't want to burn up cutters. I haven't got coolant, so we're just using a bit of oil. Really got to get coolant sorted out at some stage. Anyway, I'll get this set up and hope for the best. It's been a very long time since I've used this tool. I bought it ages ago, back when I had the round column mill, and I could never use it on the Cincinnati because I never had the Z-hide. So I dug it back out again and see how we go. Okay, so this is the best I can get this. I can't get any better than that. Yeah, I've been fiddling around with a couple of minutes, so that's plenty good enough. Got a 5/8 cutter. This is going to have to be 16mm wide, so I'm going to have to take a piece out each side. Yeah, I've got to go down 40mm, so it's going to take a fair while. It's amazing what a nice sharp cutter does, eh? In theory that should be 40mm. 39.91. So I've got to clean the sides up, so that'll leave me 0.1 to clean the floor up. So okay, I've lifted the cutter up roughly halfway because I'll have to do it into 2 passes each side because the flutes aren't long enough. Well, here we go. It's got a little bit of movement. Could have a little bit of play. Pretty happy with that. There has to be a hole right through on one side, and it has to be a 12mm hole the same as that to retain the spring Right, according to the plan I have to go back 21 millimeters from centre to put that 4 millimeter deep pocket, 1/2 inch wide, for the spring. So I'm just going to rely on the hand wheels and hope for the best. So that pocket's in. Now I have to move back to centre and then across 17.5 the other way. I have to try and tap these parallels out and then drill I think it's a 5 millimeter hole. Yeah, 5 mil hole through. And I had to bloody touch it, didn't I? Right at the very end. Anyway, it's all the way through. Well, I'd packed everything up and I'd about go in for the night. And then decided I'd keep going. Just want to do one more hole here. So what I've done, I've found centre of the part, edge found the end, and then I've come in 10 mil from this face. This is going to have a 8 millimeter hole, 50 millimeters deep, so it'll come through this side and partially into this side. That'll be where a retainer pin will go, and then on the top there will be a, I don't have any 10 mil socket head cap or grub screws, so I'm going to use a 3/8 set screw or grub screw. So now I've got to put a 3/8 thread in there. Come on, fingers, work. That's it. That still leaves room underneath that for the pin to still sit in that round 8 mil hole, and that'll lock it in place. So now there's really only one more hole to go into here. Once I work out the dimension on the original handle, you'll know that there's like a ball detent that holds it into place. I've got to come up with a way to measure this one accurately to get that right distance from this face, so I can put a little socket, a little grub screw in here with a ball bearing. And just out of curiosity, I stuck this piece in, and it fits. Right, I'm up to putting the hole in to hold the set screw and ball bearing up on the quill where the handle goes. Now I've done the best measuring I can get, and 14.33, like the plans say, looks to be right for this as well. So I'm just going to go with M6 socket grub screws. So I'm going to drop the ball in there, and then probably going to use, I don't know what I'm going to use, try and find a bit of whippersnipper cord, bit of filament off the 3D printer just to go between these two. just to hold a bit of tension, so it will still slide. So anyway, I'll work that out as I go. But I've edge found here. I've moved in half the diameter obviously, so I now got to just move in 14.33, drill in M5, tap at M6, and then this piece is then finished. Okay, we're right to power tap this one. How cool is this? How easy is that? I've been missing out for years. So this part is finished. I have to move on now to make the joining link. So I've got a bit of fiddling around to do there. Mate, I am running out of time big time. It is 10:15 Thursday morning and I haven't got the video ready. So what I've done, I've made a link. It's nothing special. It's hidden, so you're really not going to see it. And I didn't show this yesterday or the day before or whatever. I built this off camera. It's just a piece of stainless rod. It's threaded 10 M10 on this end, and this knob's on here tight. It's one I had laying around. It's a 3/8 thread in there. So that is the handle for there. So I've got to put this together. This didn't turn out as good a fit as I wanted it to. I'm going to have to Loctite the pins in. I'll do that off camera because it's going to be fiddly as buggery. So that has to go onto there and there. In there. And then we can put it together. Oh, that's a plain pin that goes into there, and then this set screw goes in and locks that into place. That's what that pivot's on in there. That's how that works, if I sort of didn't explain it real well the other day, or yesterday, or whenever it was. I'll get these three pieces together, then I'll bring this back, and then I've got to get into the computer and get inside and build a coffee and start making it all happen on video on the computer. That went way better than what I expected. It's got a bit of play in it, which I think is a good idea, and it's all together. So now we can basically do the final assembly. Oh, I've got to put a kink in this handle. It goes down in there, and this pin just got a line there. Yep, there it goes. Still got to come back and be painted. And this spring just got to feed up in that gap. Like that. You can see how the mechanism works now. Then this handle goes into that. Okay, this will slide onto here, and the pin lines up really well too, just quietly. I was pretty stoked about that. And looking down the hole here on these grooves, it lines up on this one pretty nice. It'll actually leave a little tiny gap between that between the housing and the new handle. So drop a ball in. It's not coming off. Well now, and the ball just dropped out. Sit it on, and then do it up. And it's not coming off. Probably could go a touch firmer. Still spins on there freely, locks in, and I'll pop the handle in. It's going to need a stronger spring in here and a kink in that handle. Okay, I got a little bend in it, and I used a bit of Scotch-Brite because it left the heat mark, and now it's taken the shine off the handle. A little bit of a stronger spring I reckon might be required at some stage. Okay, if you can read that, today's Thursday, 14th of March. It's nearly 11 o'clock. I haven't got time to paint this. It will be painted. I'll paint it between now and the next video. But I've got to get in and finish doing all the editing and get the video uploaded. Pretty happy with that. Pretty bloody awesome.